When whispers first began swirling around Billie Eilish and Nat Wolff, fans weren't sure what to believe. The two had been spotted together a few times, casual coffee runs, quiet studio visits, low-key dinners where they tried, and failed, to avoid curious eyes. But nothing prepared anyone for the emotional moment that would soon unfold, a moment that reportedly left Billie in tears for all the right reasons. Crescent Moon, a relationship built in silence. Billie has always been fiercely protective of her private life. After years of growing up in the spotlight, navigating fame, heartbreak, and public scrutiny, she learned the hard way that not everything needs to be shared with the world. Nat, on the other hand, understands that pressure. Having grown up in the industry himself, starring in films and performing music from a young age, he knows what it's like to mature under flashing cameras and constant speculation. That shared understanding became their foundation. Friends close to them say their connection didn't start with fireworks. It started with conversations, long talks about creativity, mental health, the pressure of expectations, and what it means to love someone when millions of strangers feel entitled to your story. And that's exactly why What Happened Next meant so much. Love Letter, the decision that changed everything. According to insiders, Nat recently made a deeply personal decision about their relationship, one that stunned Billie completely. Instead of turning their romance into a red carpet spectacle or posting curated couple photos for social media validation, Nat chose something entirely different. He decided to step back from public commentary altogether. No interviews hinting at their status. No subtle Instagram captions. No attention-grabbing gestures. Instead, he told Billie something simple yet powerful. "I don't need the world to see us to know what we have is real." That decision, protecting their love instead of performing it, hit Billie in a way she didn't expect. Musical notes, an adorable gesture. Behind closed doors. But that wasn't all. Nat reportedly wrote a private song for Billie. Not for release. Not for streaming platforms. Not for charts. Just for her. He performed it quietly in a living room setting, no cameras, no producers, just him, a guitar, and lyrics about choosing peace over pressure, choosing presence over publicity. One line allegedly left Billie speechless. "If loving you means the world never gets a show, then let the curtain close." That's when she broke into tears. Not the dramatic kind. Not the overwhelmed celebrity kind. But the soft, emotional tears of someone who felt understood. Greenheart, why it meant so much to Billie. Billie has spoken before about how fame can distort relationships. About how sometimes it feels like you're dating under a microscope. For someone who has experienced very public breakups and intense fan speculation, Nat's decision represented something rare. Security. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't performative. It was intentional. Sources say Billie told friends later that it was the first time in a long time she felt like a relationship wasn't competing with her career. The moment she couldn't hold back. Imagine this scene. A dimly lit room. A soft melody. Lyrics about choosing love quietly. And someone looking at you, not as a global superstar, but as just you. By the time Nat finished the song, Billie reportedly covered her face, laughing and crying at the same time. She hugged him tightly and whispered, "Thank you for choosing us." It wasn't about a proposal. It wasn't about a public declaration. It wasn't about headlines. It was about protection. Glowing Star fans notice a shift. Though the couple hasn't confirmed anything publicly, fans have noticed subtle changes. Billie seems calmer in recent appearances. More grounded. Less defensive when asked vague relationship questions. Nat has also kept interviews strictly focused on his work, carefully sidestepping personal topics with a quiet smile. Some fans call it mysterious. Others call it mature. But those close to them call it intentional. Red heart love without an audience. In today's world, where relationships are often curated for likes and validation, Nat's decision feels almost radical. Choosing privacy. Choosing emotional safety. Choosing love that doesn't need applause. For Billie, who has lived most of her life under blinding lights, that gesture reportedly felt like stepping into shade for the first time. And sometimes, peace is the most romantic thing of all. Rose, what happens next? Will they eventually go public? Will fans get confirmation? Will they collaborate musically? No one knows. But if this story proves anything, it's this. Sometimes the most powerful relationship decisions are the ones no one sees. And for Billie, Nat's adorable choice wasn't about headlines, it was about heart. And that's why she cried. Not from sadness, but from finally feeling safe enough to. When the internet first started buzzing about Billie Eilish and Nat Wolff spending more time together, fans didn't know what to think. Were they collaborating? Were they just friends? Or was something deeper quietly unfolding behind the scenes? What happened next, however, left even the most skeptical fans speechless. This is the story of the moment Billie Eilish reportedly broke into tears, not because of heartbreak, but because of one of the most adorable relationship decisions she never saw coming. Crescent Moon, a quiet bond no one fully understood. Billie has always guarded her heart fiercely. After years of navigating fame, public scrutiny, and relationships under a microscope, she became more private than ever about who she lets into her inner world. Nat, on the other hand, is known for his calm, thoughtful energy. Having grown up in the spotlight himself, he understands what it means to be watched constantly. Friends say that from the beginning, their connection felt different, grounded, slow, and surprisingly normal. They weren't flashy. They weren't loud. They weren't chasing headlines. And that's exactly what made it special. Speech balloon, the decision that changed everything. According to close sources, Nat made a quiet but powerful choice about their relationship. Instead of capitalizing on speculation. Instead of teasing interviews. Instead of turning their connection into publicity. He chose privacy. Not just surface-level privacy. A real, intentional boundary. Nat reportedly told people close to him that if things were going to grow between them, it had to be protected, not monetized, not exploited, not paraded around for validation. He even turned down an opportunity to casually mention Billie in a media appearance that could have sparked massive attention. And that's when Billie found out. Loudly crying faced the emotional moment. The story goes that when Billie learned he had deliberately avoided name-dropping her, even when it would have boosted his own visibility, she was stunned. For someone who has often questioned whether people are drawn to her or to her fame, that gesture meant everything. Sources say she got quiet at first. Then emotional. Then overwhelmed. Tears didn't come from sadness. They came from relief. From feeling seen. From realizing that someone was choosing her, not the spotlight that follows her. Red Heart, why it meant so much. Billie has spoken in the past about how isolating fame can feel. Trust becomes complicated. Motives get blurry. Nat's decision wasn't grand. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't viral. But it was intentional. And sometimes, intentional love hits harder than any public declaration. For Billie, who has written entire albums about vulnerability, betrayal, longing, and emotional intensity, this quiet act reportedly pierced straight through her guarded exterior. She didn't cry because she was overwhelmed by drama. She cried because she finally felt safe. Rose, fans react. When whispers of the moment leaked online, fans were divided at first. Some were surprised. Some were skeptical. Some simply said, if she's happy, we're happy. But what resonated most was the idea that in a world obsessed with public validation, someone chose